Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of Drop Third Strike. Baseball's back, and we are here as well, and we have lots of stuff to talk about this week. So, joining me today is Andrew Bolia
Hey there.
and Ryan Woodhams.
Good evening.
So, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty hyped about Shohei Ohtani. So, we'll start right there. His pitching and hitting has been off the charts so far. Pitching today, he tossed 7 scoreless innings against A's, bringing his totals to 13 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 4 hits allowed, 18 strikeouts, and a 2.08 ERA. Ryan, what have you taken away from his pitching so far?
I think that it's been an impressive start for him. I think that it was there was a lot of concern after his spring training that I apologize for reminding you of this. Noah did not go very well, and I think that there was a lot of doubt as to whether he was ready for being a major league pitcher, let alone a two-way player. And I think that he's begun to prove that that doubt was misplaced or a little irrational. What surprises me more, I don't think it's surprising me very much that he has done well as a pitcher. I think the more surprising thing to me is the fact that he has over a 1,300 OPS in his first, albeit very small sample size, in his first few games as a hitter. I think the fact that he already has 3 home runs, which is more than a good number of actual major league regulars, surprises me quite a bit as well. So good on him, and I hope it continues. I think that he got very close to making history today, and I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually completes the deal event sometime during his Angels career.
Yeah, so offensively, he hit 389 in his short stint this week with 3 homers and 7 RBIs. Also, I went to 2 of the games this week at Angel Stadium and saw him hit. He's made the smallest adjustments, but it's paid so much. The dividends have been it's been incredible to see him make those little adjustments and go from hitting 100 in spring training to being a legit power threat. His power is crazy. I didn't realize until I saw him in person, but he had a broken bat fly out in one of the innings, and he just obliterated the bat. So you could tell that he's swinging hard. He's swinging early. He's kind of adjusted to the off speed. Still looked like a fool on one of the at bats a couple days ago on a slider, but he's really impressed me so far. And he got I think he got a walk with the bases loaded. So whenever you get that, it's pretty good. Andrew, what do you think about Ohtani so far?
Well, I think he could have gone all 9 innings today if our co-star Noah Lyons was there to support him.
I was watching a movie.
Yeah, he was watching a movie. He's really slacking as a fan.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I'll blame that on Noah.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, I was watching Isle of Dogs. It's pretty good.
Yeah, his start has been impressive, but we still have 150 games to go. It's a good start, but there's still a lot of baseball to play.
There's just been a lot of overreactions with Ohtani so far. Like in spring training, people were saying that he should be in Single A, or he should never even pitch in the big leagues or never even hit in the big leagues. And then now people are comparing him to Babe Ruth. So I guess we'll see what he does from now on. But it's a really good start for him. As an Angel fan, I'm really hyped. If he can pitch 150 innings and be a DH 3 days a week, I think we're going to be in a pretty good spot. So, Ryan, I'm going to toss it over to you for the next topic.
All right, so what we have here, we've got Trevor Bauer a few days ago. Yesterday, actually, the Indians lost 1-0 to the Royals playing at Progressive Field. And
Lucas Duda hit the home run.
Yes. And looking after the game, Trevor Bauer had some very direct and no-holds-barred comments that he made about the pace of play rules after the 7th inning, which was the inning in which he allowed the only run. He was talking about the pace of rule was implemented by Rob Manfred earlier this year that aims to shorten the time in between innings, which gives them 20 fewer seconds to warm up before the opposing hitters come to the plate. and he said that the rule was BS, and he talked about how this is actually his quote right here. He said, I was like, look, I'll take the fine if I need to, referencing the fine that Rob Manfred said that he would be slapped with. He said, I'll take the fine if I need to. I'm not going to put myself at risk. I'm not going to put the team at risk of me having exactly what happened, meaning him, basically blowing the game. And I just, as far as his comments go, I really don't have a problem with it because I think the game, I said this in the last episode at somewhat length, that I think this game's going too far in terms of this whole pace of play narrative. I think that anybody who really enjoys watching baseball and who is in it to actually watch a baseball game, I don't think that a 2-hour and 50-minute game versus a 2-hour or a 3-hour and 10-minute game is going to make a ton of difference to fans who actually really care about the game and watch it regularly. I just don't see that making a huge difference to them. And so, I've always respected Trevor Bauer. This is not the first time that he's been very direct and upfront about the way he feels on subjects. And I think that that's something that's very refreshing within the game, to have the players actually have the voice, because we hear all the time, it's the commissioner side or it's the umpires or whoever. It seems like there's so much acceptance and just permission for the game or the umpires to start saying all these things and making these rules. But as soon as the players speak out about it, then all of a sudden there's controversy. And I give Bauer a lot of credit for challenging that and saying that, look, this is not going to put me or my team in the best situation to win. We've got to do something about this.
Andrew, what do you think?
I think at the game's most competitive level, you should be at your best position to win. The way it's going right now, with pace of play, we're just going to keep seeing these little teeny seconds off that make it like a big difference to players and not that big of a difference to fans. I don't think it was Rob Manfred's fault that they lost for giving up that home run. I think it was the Indians' offense. The Royals had the same conditions that they need to deal with, same cold weather. The way I see it, the way how it's going right now, pitchers don't really have that much time to warm up, and it's not going to get any better, probably. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think it would have been a bigger deal if, like, for example, if the Indians had 20 seconds to warm up and the Royals had 25. But like you said, both teams had the same conditions, so you can't really blame the commissioner for him giving up a home run. Lucas Duda kind of touted it. I mean, it's just baseball. I think that obviously you want to have the players' best interests in mind, but it's a game. He gave up 1 run. The Indians' offense didn't pick him up, and they got the loss because of that. It wasn't because I don't think it's because he needed 1 more pitch to warm up with. So I think that Bauer's comments seem a little bit like an overreaction to me, but I could be wrong. It's one less Carl's Jr. ad I get to see when I'm watching it at home. So moving on to the next topic, we've had a lot of fantasy baseball disappointments and surprises so far. So Ryan, who have you been surprised by, and who has not lived up to your expectations?
I would say my disappointment, I got to go with Yankees catcher Gary Sanchez. I mean, I look at this guy, and I was so excited for him. I thought this was going to be, not even really a breakout year because he's been so good the last couple of years. I thought this was going to be the first year that he really put it all together on both sides of the ball, because he's had well-known defensive concerns over the last couple of years. As good as he's been defensively, people thought he could be even better. And just the way he started this year has just been atrocious. I mean, you're looking at a 0.63 average, a negative 34 weighted runs created plus. I didn't even know that statistic had the ability to go into the negatives. And so I don't know. I fully believe, maybe this is just me hoping as a fan, but I fully believe that it'll get turned around eventually. But I hope that the trade-off for him learning how to, feel the position normally and at least at league average level. I hope that the trade-off for that isn't that he's going to hit terribly, because if that is, I'm perfectly fine watching a couple balls go through his legs if it means we get 30 home runs again.
And now he's hurt, right? They stuck him out there for about 5 hours, and I think he left with a leg cramp.
Yeah, he's got a calf thing. They're gonna reevaluate him before the Boston series on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Andrew, did you have a disappointment so far?
My biggest disappointment is mostly with the Dodgers. Corey Seager and Cody Bellinger. Their lineup has just gone completely quiet since Justin Turner went down with that wrist injury. Corey Seager right now is batting .226, 294 on base percentage, and slugging .226.
Yikes.
Negative 0.1 WAR, compared to a 5.9 WAR season last year. Cody Bellinger is batting .250, 294 on base percentage, and slugging .344, which is not what you want to see from a 4 WAR first baseman. He hasn't put.
And that was in a short sample size as well.
Mm-hmm. And also Jose Ramirez. He's been one of the worst valued players in baseball so far. He's batting .07, 200 on base percentage, slugging .167. It's been an ugly year for him.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's been an ugly year for him, especially from an MVP caliber 2017. Yeah, it's just been ugly.
Yeah, and one thing I came to expect with Ramirez last year is just that he just got hits almost every single game I saw him play. He seems to have struggled. He seems to have struggled like hitting the ball at the infield, really. So hopefully he bounces back from that. The Indians are one of those teams this year that have really struggled out of the gate. Adding on to what you said about Bellinger and Seager, the 294 OBP is just that kind of stuck out to me. These are two guys who, at least if they're not hitting, I'd expect them to get walked, but it looks like their plate discipline is not as good as it was last year. So, that Dodgers offense needs to wake up. Justin Turner, even with him out, they got Puig, they got Bellinger, they got Seager, they got Grandal. They definitely have some good guys over there.
Yeah, and the Dodgers are 3-6. I projected them to be a 100-win team. It's not what I've been expecting. 3-6.
Yeah, for sure. They need to pick up their pitching. So for me, disappointment so far is Giancarlo Stanton. He has been absolutely terrible at the plate. That's a little bit of a surprise there. 21 strikeouts and 41 at-bats. So basically half of his at-bats he struck out. And we're not talking like 8-pitch at-bats strikeouts. We're talking like whiffs. So he's really struggled out of the gate. Also, J.P. Crawford on the Phillies, he's got one hit this season. He's 1 for 23. That would give him a 43 batting average. So definitely not the best start for those two guys. Stanton, with that power, I think will rebound a little better, but Crawford I'm a little concerned about.
Yeah.
Especially since he kind of dipped as a prospect last year.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, who's your surprise this season?
I don't know if it's much of a surprise as it is bounce back, but I'd like to talk about Xander Bogaerts. He's just been knocking the cover off the ball. I don't have his exact numbers up right now, but I know he just went down with was it a wrist injury or something?
Oh, he slid into the dugout.
He slid into the dugout, yeah.
I think it was an ankle injury, actually.
Yeah, so he's batting .371 with a .405 on base percentage and slugging .743. And he's almost been like half as valuable as he was last year in 8 games. So I'm hoping for a quick return for him for the Red Sox.
Yeah. We don't know which Xander Bogaerts we're going to get, the power hitting one or 10 home runs a year.
It looks like we're getting both so far.
Yeah. So for me, Matt Chapman's been a huge surprise for me. He's always known for his defense. He's incredible at third base. Made an error the other night, but made some great plays as well. But this year, offensively, he's been off the charts. 375 average, 3 homers, 8 RBIs, including a 2 home run game on Friday, partially against Parker Bidwell, who got lit up. It's kind of sad there.
Yeah.
And then another guy who surprised me is David Price. 0 ERA so far, 14 innings, 10 strikeouts. So hopefully we'll get the instead of the 4 ERA on the DL all the time Price.
Yeah.
What have
I'd like to
what have
point
you
out
seen from
something
him,
about.
Andrew?
I'd like to point out something about Price. I think people really slept on his 2016, but he was 4.4 WAR that year, and actually he's pretty valuable as a semi-relief pitcher. Last year, I think he was like 1.7 WAR or something in a short amount of innings. He was 1.5 WAR in 74 innings. So he's still looking like a 5 WAR pitcher to me, like 5.4, and that's still worth his contract.
Yeah, after that $217 million contract, he's got to keep it up, and hopefully he'll somewhat be worth it at the end of it. Ryan, who's surprised you so far this season?
Well, first of all, Boston have a very scary rotation if the price is right, so keep an eye on that. But
Ryan Pun, take a drink, everybody.
This 100th price.
But looking at a surprise player for me, Mike Falniwi from the Braves has been.
Oh gosh, I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's impossible. Anyway, go on.
Well, yeah, I don't know how to say that. I think it's Falniwi, but his 2 starts, he had 5 innings and 5 1/3 innings. So he's only allowed 3 earned runs. He's allowed 2 homers, so he's got to work on that. But 15 strikeouts in 10 1/3 innings for just 3 walks. I mean, he and this is not against slouch teams either. We're talking about Philadelphia, who just added Carlos Santana this offseason, and we're talking about probably one of the most potent lineups in the league. So this is a pair of very good teams that he has pitched against the last couple times out, and it leaves me wondering. Obviously, it's a small sample size. It leaves me wondering if this is finally the year that we see, him turn a corner and actually become a reliable major league starter. He's kind of been that okay pitcher over the last 2 years, when he started to become more full time. But it'd be interesting to see if he can actually turn a corner this year, or if this is just a flash in the pan. But I'm going to go with Mike Falniwi here.
Yeah, also Sean Newcomb had really solid starts today, 9 strikeouts. So that Braves rotation is looking a lot better. Yeah, I think the Braves have just been a crazy surprise. We'll talk about them later, but guys like Ryan Flaherty and Preston Tucker have just kind of hit out of nowhere. Even Dansby Swanson is starting to hit the fastball now. So why don't we just jump it right into that right now? We have some overperforming teams so far. How about we start over with you, Ryan, about the Braves?
All right, so the Braves are just right now are playing a level I just don't think is sustainable. And looking at their record, they are coming into this. They're second in the National League East right now, and this is not a team that was expected to arrive this early, and I just don't see the level of where they beat the Rockies. They took a series from the Rockies today. They took a series earlier this week from the Nationals. They won 2 of their games against the Nationals, allowing 6 runs, and then they allow 1 run. Their pitching has been decent but inconsistent. And I think that their lineup is not going to be able to keep posting 6, 7, 8 runs a game. It's just the names they have in that lineup have not proven that they're capable of doing that on a long-term basis. I just think that they're playing above their heads right now. I think the Braves fall back to earth. And I think that when you look at the schedule that they have coming up, they've got the Nationals, the Cubs, the Phillies, the Mets, who I think are for real this year, and another series against the Phillies. I just don't think that this is something that's going to last much longer. I think you'll start seeing them coming back down to earth very soon.
Yeah, one thing about the Braves that I do doing to be really good is Ozzie Albies at second base. He's got a ton of power, ton of speed. Should be a really, really nice piece for them. What he's been doing lately, I think he can do even better than that. So I think that performance is for real. Also, Freddie Freeman, probably one of the best hitters in the MLB, but had that wrist injury last year. So I think he'll be able to keep it going. Braves might be a little better than I'm anticipating, but like you said, I don't expect them to be a 90-win team or an 80-win team, possibly. Andrew, what do you think about the Braves so far?
I think that we'll see him down in like the 471 percentage by the All-Star break. About like 30, 38, 40 wins by the time we get there. I think the Braves, I think they're going to be knocked down. I do like what I'm seeing from Albies and Swanson. I don't know if they'll be able to keep it up the entire year, but it's been a hot start.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of promise with that team, but I'm not sure how Ryan Flaherty and Preston Tucker and Charlie Culbertson, those guys will stand up.
Yeah, Preston Tucker's being a flash in the pan right now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Another team that's really overperforming right now is the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've gotten some quality pitching from Jameson Taillon, who just did a complete game one-hitter today, I believe. And then you got guys like Corey Dickerson added to the lineup with Josh Harrison, Gregory Polanco. Starling Marte hasn't really gotten it going too much yet, but he's also a threat in that lineup. So I think this is a possible. We could see some consistent performance from them. They're a team that kind of tore it down, but didn't really. They got rid of Garrett Cole and Andrew McCutchen, who are two key pieces for them. But with guys like Polanco and Marte, like I mentioned earlier, and Dickerson, and Polanco, Josh Harrison at second base, Colin Moran also hitting very well. Josh Bell, I think it's a pretty good offense. So Pirates, I'm not ready to say they're for real yet, but I think they could be a 500 team when I was expecting them to be a little bit under that. Ryan, do you think the Pirates are for real, or do you think it's flash and pan?
No, the Pirates, I just don't see how you trade your ace, how you trade a key player in your outfield and also in your clubhouse, and do any sort of anything near a 7-2 record that you've built up. Not to mention, looking at those 9 games to start the season, the teams that they've defeated, it just doesn't impress me at all. I mean, they had a 1-run victory over Minnesota home. They beat the Tigers 3 times, and they beat the Reds 3 out of 4 times. I mean, you might be talking about the 2 worst teams in baseball, and you're talking about a 7-2 record. I just get back to me after they play 3 games in Chicago this week, and they play the Phillies and they play the Phillies. Get back to me in the middle of May when they've had some legitimate contending teams on their schedule, both on the road and at home, and then we'll see if they're even at 500, let alone over it, and then I think we'll have a better idea of what the Pirates are about. But I don't see how you can take this 9-game sample against these teams specifically and use it to have any sort of optimism for the Pirates this year.
What do you think, Andrew?
I think that, the Pirates are overperforming. I still like their team. They retooled with Colin Moran and who else is it? Peacock? Was it Peacock?
Joe Musgrove.
Musgrove, yeah, right, Musgrove. Yeah. And from what we see from McCutchen, they actually kind of dodged a bullet with him.
Especially defense.
Yeah, I still think that they'll be a 500 team. I really like their rotation with Cole and Nova and Taillon. I think those 3 are legit. It's just with the Pirates.
Cole's on Houston though.
Chad Cole.
Oh, Chad Cole, yeah.
Yeah.
Chad Cool. Got it.
Cool, yeah. I think those 3 are legit. The problem with the Pirates is just the dedication of money and letting them go, letting them fly,
Yeah, I think it's Oakland. The ownership hasn't really stepped up along with the team. So I don't think that we're going to see them making any additions at the deadline. or bolstering their team to make a playoff run. So they've been good so far, but like Ryan said, we'll see what they do when they face some better competition. Andrew, who's overperformed for you so far?
I have the Mets. I know Conforto's on the DL, and they're expecting him they're expecting a big run return for him, but it's still a major surgery to a major part of your swing. I don't think Conforto will be that great. I don't think he'll ever be the 5-1 player that he was in 2017. I don't see the offense taking him very far. That's another team that I have around 500, and I think they're 6-1 right now. I think we'll start to see that number even out to the 500 line.
Yeah, I think the Angels and the Mets are kind of in the same place with their pitching. They've got some guys. They've got some guys with stuff, especially the Mets. But just staying off the DL has been a really struggle for them. It looks like they're a little healthier this year, but I think they're going to make a run at the wild card. I'm not sure if they'll quite get there. Ryan, what do you think about the Mets?
I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Mets. I think that this is a team that last year lost so many players due to injury, and I think most of those guys, particularly the pitchers, are healthy. Am I saying that they're going to overtake the Nationals? Am I saying that they're going to, be what they were in 2015? No, not at all. But I think that if you look at the potential this team has, I fully expect them to contend for the wild card, and I think they will win one of those 2 wild card spots. And I think that they have what it takes to, especially if they add a bat in the mid-season. Last year, I was a little concerned that they didn't sell at the deadline and restock that pretty, unimpressive farm system. But I do think that at least for this season, that long-term outlook, I think that they have, I think they've got some great pieces in that lineup in addition to a very good rotation. And so I think that people are sleeping on New York. I fully believe that they're going to be in the postseason mix this season. And if they add a piece to that lineup, I don't think there's any telling, what they could do, especially if, it ends up being them, the Nats, the Cubs, and everybody else.
We got a little bit of breaking news here. The Mets just took the lead in the 12th inning versus the Nationals, 6-5.
Ooh.
So they might be 7-1 after today.
Yeah, they've been really good this season. It'll be interesting to see if they maintain it or if any of the injuries kind of show up in the next couple weeks, or if last year was kind of a fluke.
Trying to sleep tonight as Yankees fans going to be fun if the Mets sweep the Nationals and the Yankees can't beat Baltimore in the series.
I don't get how the Nationals are 4-4 with the start that Bryce Harper is having.
Yeah, and also got Adam Eaton. Hitting the cover off the ball.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's keeping them down in the 500 mark.
Yeah, I mean they didn't really do too great against the Braves, so I'm sure they're one of those teams that will pick it up soon, maybe even within the next week. One team that we kind of glossed over, Andrew, was the Dodgers, who you're pretty disappointed by.
Mm-hmm.
What's been disappointing about them so far for you?
Those 2 players, Corey Seager and Cody Bellinger, who you touched on. Those are a major cog in their lineup. And of course the Justin Turner broken wrist. Those are those are your 3 main guys, and none of them are producing. They're 3-6 right now.
Yasiel Puig isn't hitting too well either.
Yeah, Puig will be Puig.
Yeah. Just goes from week to week. We'll see which Puig we get. With the Dodgers, they have such a stacked team. Coming off a World Series appearance, they didn't really subtract much. Matt Kemp and Scott Ellinger, and I believe they lost Tony Watson and Yu Darvish. But they have such a strong team, but they're right now. Giants, They got walked off of by Andrew McCutcheon, who was hitting .093 going into the game. So I'm a little confused by the Dodgers struggling right now. I'm sure they're another team that'll pick it up, but it looks pretty bad right now.
I want to add that Jock Peterson is also not doing too well. He's batting 143 with 0 home runs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty inconsistent lineup there. Most of the guys that we've been expecting to perform just haven't really gotten there yet. So on to another disappointing team for me. I have the New York Yankees.
Yes.
They're over 500. They're 5-4. Or are they 5-5 now?
5-5.
Yeah, they're 5-5 right now at 500. It's just their big guys are not hit. Aaron Judge has been fine. I think he's hitting 280. But like Stanton has just really, really struggled at the plate. They've played a couple extra inning games lately, and they just haven't been able to close it out. Their bullpen also, you got guys like Dellin Betances, Aroldis Chapman, Tommy Canley. They've just got all the depth in the world, but they're also struggling to get outs. CC Sabathia, I believe he went down with a little injury. Gary Sanchez also struggling a lot at the plate. So
big time.
The Yankees, even though they're at 500, it's a little concerning to see how weak they started the year. This is a team I kind of had for the World Series, so I'm a little unimpressed so far. Ryan, as a Yankee fan, how do you feel about the team's performance so far?
I can look at it from two ways. I start with the more realistic way and the more, less fan oriented way. Looking at their lineup, they have, first of all, they've dealt with probably more injuries in the first week than any other team. And I look at their lineup. They had, like you said, Gary Sanchez. He was terrible in the first week. Looking at other people, you have Brendan Drury before he went down with his injury. He wasn't hitting very well. He had a couple of good showings, but really was unimpressive. Miguel Andujar, who I think, based on his cameo last year and how he did in AAA, people thought that his promotion would lead to a lot better results. He's been not hitting well at all. Actually, he was hitting quite dreadfully.
It's the Yankee prospect type.
Yeah, the pitching I'm not very, very concerned about. I think Tanaka, Sonny Gray, I think I think he'll be great. I think that Luis Severino, I'm looking forward to seeing him matching Sale on Tuesday.
That's going to be a good matchup.
That's good. Serious.
You mentioned the bullpen. I think that Robertson and Canley are the two that I'm most concerned about. Holder, I'm not really concerned about because I knew he just wasn't pitching well at the major league level. That doesn't really surprise me. And Montgomery, he had a bad outing today, but he held up for a full season last year. So just gotta hope that he's able to bounce back because he had a good outing last time out. But I think the depth is going to help them a lot, and I think that Sabathia is probably the one that concerns me the most because when you start taking results like that and health issues, right now his fielding independent ERA is almost 7 through his first 2 starts. You couple that with his injuries, with the fact that he's almost 38. I think those, when you start putting them all together, are what concern me. But Betances, I'm worried about. He can control it well. But Canley, Robertson, Warren, Sessa, I'm not really concerned about them. Or Chad Green, I'm not really concerned about those guys. I think that they're going to, it just happened to be instances where a lot of good to very good pitchers had rough outings at once. On the flip side, if I want to look at it from a more fan-oriented perspective, it's pretty interesting to me that they could have all these injuries and all these players not doing well. And the fact that they're still 5-5 as a result of that, I look forward to seeing what happens when Stanton does start, having at-bats that end in something other than a strikeout. I look forward to seeing what happens when, the bullpen gets back on track, and I look forward to getting some of these guys back from injury and seeing what they can do from there. But as they stand right now, I agree with you. It's been a disappointing first week. I would not have expected them to lose 3 out of 4 to the Baltimore Orioles, and
that's a pretty rough start against the Orioles. They're one of those teams that were kind of expected to win like 70, 75 games this season. But the Yankees have, just like the Dodgers, who are underperforming probably to a higher extent. Those teams will probably be fine. They're quality teams. They have a lot of depth. They have a lot of quality players on their team, so they'll get it going. It's kind of surprising to see them struggle this early. I think we have one more, Ryan. What do you think about the Cubs this season?
Yeah, I didn't get to talk about the Yankees.
Oh, the Yankees, yeah.
They're
Go
my
ahead,
arch rivals.
Andrew.
The way that
Take
they're
them down,
playing,
tear them down.
the way that they're playing now, you'll never be able to convince me that they'll be able to catch the Red Sox. But luckily for the Yankees, they probably won't be playing this way the entire year. The Red Sox should be 9-0. I'd like to point out. But
all right, we get it, Andrew.
Yeah, the Red Sox should be 9-0.
Not all of us have the luxury of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, the Yankees, they will get better. I think they'll probably average out. That's all I gotta say. Stuff will even out.
Yeah, and Yankees Twitter is just losing their mind right now.
Yeah, it's very Yankee-like to be panicking when they're 500 with 150 games to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yankee fans are at their worst when they're doing okay.
Yeah.
Because they never struggle.
They haven't
never
been,
rebuild.
They haven't been
never
under
this,
500. They haven't been under 500 in like 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be fine. I mean, I think the best advice is just not to worry about it. Ryan, you said you had one more disappointing team. What was that?
Yeah, it was Chicago Cubs, and they're disappointing to me, not because their record's terribly bad at 5-4, but because looking at their roster, looking at their lineup and their pitching staff, there's no reason this team should have any fewer than 7 or 8 wins, in my opinion. Looking at, really, Chris Bryant's the only player who's, hit like he's capable of. I mean, Addison Russell, yeah, he's had a good start. Brent Zobrist has done pretty well, but pretty much everybody else, Tucky, Almora, Happ, Rizzo, Schwarber, Baez, Contreras,
Darvish on the hill.
Yeah, Caratini and Hayward. Pretty much all of them have been pretty dreadful at the plate, and it's just it's one of those things where I think somehow everything's just not going right for them offensively. Their pitching staff doesn't really concern me all that much. I would like to see Darvish look a little more like he did last year, but I can't really knock Chatwood or Quintana too much because they've both only had one start each. So, but at this point, looking at what they can do, just they have so much more potential than they're playing to at this point, and I think that I still fully expect them to win the NL Central, and I think that they might be my favorite right now to win the World Series. But my goodness, they've got to have 3 guys, carrying that lineup, and they need some of their core players to start picking it up a little bit and stop leaving everything Chris Bryant, Addison Russell.
Mm-hmm. So, lastly here, I'm just going to ask you guys a quick question. What team do you think is the hardest to watch so far this season? Which team do you think is the most dominant so far?
Ooh.
Andrew, I'll start with you.
I need a second to think about this, but the hardest team to watch, I have to go with the obvious answer. I have to go with the Marlins.
1-20.
Yeah, they just lost.
Phillies
lost a game 1-20. And
that was pretty cringeworthy.
And if you look on their Twitter, they're like, "Oh, this is like in 2003 we lost a game by 20 runs, and they won the World Series that year." But things are a bit different. Things are a bit different this year. It's been an ugly start.
Yeah, even their Twitter is pretty weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've just gotten rid of everything. I gotta say, the Kansas City Royals are really hard to watch for me. They're a team that's been pretty successful over the last couple of years. Kind of had that small ball thing going on. Salvador Perez, and Eric Hosmer, Lorenzo Kane, all the other guys, Alcides Escobar. And then I got a Bleacher Report notification a couple nights ago. Salvador Perez sprains MCL while slipping holding luggage.
Yeah.
And I think that
before
defines their season pretty well so far.
Yeah. I like to throw in Tampa Bay as a hard team to watch.
Oh my gosh!
Right now they're
blew
one
a 5-run lead.
Yeah, they're 1-8. They just blew a 6-run lead to the Red Sox. Yeah. Colme has like a 16 ERA right now.
That 4-man rotation's working really well right now.
They gave up 6 runs in the 8th inning.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Also with the Royals, their best hitter right now is John Jay. So John Jay and Mike Moustakas are carrying the offense, which is kind of sad when you're looking at a team that won the World Series just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Jacob Junis has done pretty well, but I mean, that team is just they're just slowly withering away from what they used to be.
No farm either. They're gonna have to draft everyone because they don't.
Yeah, they really need to rebuild. And Whit Merrifield, probably the most valuable trade chip, hasn't been hitting. Yeah. So pretty tough start for them. Pretty hard to watch. Ryan, who do you think is the hardest to watch so far?
Hardest team to watch, I think it's a personal thing for me, just because of the way that they've been fundamentally. I gotta go with the Texas Rangers. Their fielding has not been.
Oh
good.
Yeah.
Their fielding's been bad. They've been caught stealing in 5 out of 7 attempts.
I blame that on Rougned Odor. He's got caught stealing twice.
Yeah, not a big fan of Odor.
And I think he got caught stealing twice in one game.
That's brutal.
It's just their pitching has been all right, I guess. But I mean, Hamels, Matt Moore has been terrible. It's just,
Cole Hamels got lit up too.
It's a team that might not be the most. I mean, we expected the Rays to be bad. We expected the Marlins to be bad. We expected, there's a lot of teams that they got off to rough starts, but we expected it, so they don't really shock us. The Rangers, I thought, would float around the 500 mark, but it looks like they just have some of the most ugly statistics that you can see just at this point in the young season. So I would say in terms of hardest to watch, I would have to go with the Texas Rangers on that one.
And Willie Calhoun didn't make that roster, so that outfield doesn't look very good either.
Even with the Shields injury.
I'm not big on Texas. Don't get me started on that Texas hate. Anyway, what was that, Andrew?
Even after Day Shields got injured, they wouldn't call up what's his face, Calhoun?
Willie Calhoun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justice for Calhoun. We'll start a hashtag. We need him back in the major leagues. It's getting ugly. I'd say one team. This is I'm kind of cheating here, but the hardest team to watch on defense is the Oakland A's, because the Oakland A's have a lot of good hitters like Matt Chapman and Matt Olson, Chris Davis, even Matt Joyce is pretty productive. Franklin Barreto also was called up, but their defense is so bad. It's just they're bobbling everything. They can't make the throws. Matt Olson missed a pick the other day. It's just they're so hard to watch on defense. If they could only fix that up, they'd be way better than they are right now. One team that I've seen just completely dominate is the Red Sox. I know Andrew's gonna love this, but everybody on that team is just they're just hitting like crazy. David Price is pitching well. Eduardo Rodriguez kind of got battered around today, but everything kind of looks good for them right now. And my Angels are looking pretty solid. A's the other day, but we're 7-3, so I'm pretty happy with how the season started. Andrew, what team has impressed you the most?
Well, since you said the Red Sox, I'm gonna have to go with the Diamondbacks. Patrick Corbin has been nuts. Their offense.
Pick him up in your fantasy leagues.
Yeah. Their offense hasn't really taken a downturn since JD Martinez left. I know they have Steven Souza on the DL, who I'm excited for. Greinke, yeah, just that whole Diamondbacks team is really exciting. Even with the limitations they had with money and getting JD Martinez back, I think they I think they did a good job with patching that hole up.
Yeah, and Goldschmidt's hitting 100 right now, so you can expect him to kind of pick up the bat soon.
Right.
Make him even better. Ryan, which team has dominated the most for you?
The team that I just mentioned about 5 minutes ago, I'm going to go with the New York Mets. Their lineup. I mean, you've had Brandon Nimmo, Lagares. Let me count them right now. They have 8 different regulars right now with an OPS of 800 or better. Their rotation actually looks like it's supposed to look. DeGrom looked great both times out. Harvey had a great first start. Syndergaard looks like he's looks at least mostly like he's supposed to look. He got roughed up a little bit, but he looks like he's going to be back on track. And Steven Matz, I feel like he looks like what he'll be this year is kind of like that passable league average type starter. He's not going to be great, but he's going to get you what you need to stay in the game, I think. I just want to see him cut down on his walks a little bit, and then the bullpen was very good as well. I think that this team was legitimately slept on a lot this year, a lot more surprisingly than I thought, because they were not necessarily a bad team last year. They were just battered by injuries. And I think if they can stay healthy this year, and that was evidenced, I think, by the fact that they just swept, the Nationals and by the start they've gotten off to. If they can keep this up, and if they can keep those 8 players that I mentioned, those 8 regulars that I mentioned, can continue to post above league average production for, most of the season. Obviously that's kind of a tall order, but if they can continue to do that, then I think there's some special times to be ahead for maybe the less talked about New York team this year.
Yeah, definitely. So as we wrap up here, we have everybody's favorite segment coming up. What's nagging Noah? Now, this week I was, I heard about Ohtani hitting all these home runs, and I was like, I need to have a moving picture to go with this. And then I was thinking to myself, is it a GIF or is it a GIF? So, Andrew, I'm going to pass it over to you on this controversial topic. What is your answer here?
It's GIF. GIF is a peanut butter company.
I agree with that. Ryan, are you going to go against this or what?
No, I got to go. I mean, let's just look at it logically. If you look at graphics interchange format, I don't see how you deviate from the pronunciation of the words that it stands for. The founder of the person who came up with the whole idea itself has said that it was GIF, but I'm going to have to challenge the father of the whole thing on this matter. It's a GIF.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. It is a GIF. Thank you, everybody, for joining today and listening to our podcast. You can follow me on Twitter, Noah Lyons at Noah Lyons01. And Andrew, where can people find you?
Bolia_Andrew.
Correct. What about you, Ryan?
Got a new handle. Find me at What's the Scoop 27.
Rip Crash
Scoop
Sports. Rip Crash Sports.
Yeah, Rip Crash Sports. All right. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.